In the... I'm doing my Duolingo.
How many days straight have you gone?
450.
450 days in a row.
That is well
a year and a
over
lot.
a year. That's
But I can translate the sentence that I went for a walk in the park of the castle and it started to rain. Because that's useful.
It is useful.
Because we walk in the park.
Guess what?
Castles.
That was our little breaky poo before the final scene.
Mm-hmm.
Final scene.
Mm-hmm. This is a long one. This is our marathon.
Okay. Scene 3 takes place in the churchyard where the tomb is that belongs to Capulets. It starts out, and it's nighttime. It starts out with Paris and the page, and they have flowers, and they're coming to visit Juliet's tomb. Okay. This is like the day after the burial. Okay. Who's your Paris?
Give me thy torch, boy, hence and stand aloof. Under yon yew trees lay thee along, holding thine ear close to the hollow ground, so shall no foot upon the churchyard tread, but thou shalt hear it. Whistle then to me, as signal that thou hearest something approach. Give me those flowers, do as I bid thee go.
And to himself, or not directly to Page, or to Paris, the Page says, I am almost afraid to stand alone here in the churchyard, yet I will adventure. So it's a creepy little graveyard, and he tells his page to hang out and listen to see if anybody shows up.
The page retires to a spot where he can watch over the tomb.
Sweet flower with flowers thy bridal bed I strew. The obsequies
Mm-hmm.
that I for thee will keep nightly shall be to strew thy grave and weep.
Hmm.
The boy gives warning something doth approach. What cursed foot wanders this way tonight to cross my obsequies and true love's right? A what? With a torch? Muffle me night a while.
Okay, so somebody's approaching with a torch, and so he's told the page to let you know somebody's coming, and then as he sees him approaching, he gets out of the way to watch to see what happens. Now, understand that he has said something really lovely here. He says that he's going to nightly come and strew flowers at her grave. He feels so terrible that this has happened. It would be traumatic, right? It doesn't matter that he didn't know her for that long. He had been engaged to marry her, was planning his wedding with her, building up his hopes around her, even though it was over a short time, and then she dies. What trauma is that? You don't get over that. Okay, so approaching is Romeo and Balthazar.
All right, sorry, that's okay. Hold, take this letter. Early in the morning, see thou deliver it to my lord and father. Give me the light. Upon thy life I charge thee, whate'er thou hearest or seest, stand all aloof, and do not interrupt me in my course. Why I descend into this bed of death is partly to behold my lady's face, but chiefly to take thence from her dead finger a precious ring, a ring that I must use in dear employment. Therefore, hence, begone. But if thou, jealous, dost return to pry in what I further shall intend to do, by heaven, I will tear thee joint by joint and strew this hungry churchyard with thy limbs.
Oh, be gone, sir, and not trouble ye.
So shalt thou show me friendship. Take thou that.
The letter. Oh, and money.
Mm.
Live and be prosperous, and farewell, good fellow.
Okay. Balthazar has good reason. I'm going to say his line here in a second, but he has good reason to be worried about this, because that speech that Romeo just gave him was like, here, you're going to give this, not right now. Don't do it now, but wait till morning, and you're going to give this letter to my dad. Okay. Meanwhile, don't come close to what I'm about to do here in the tomb, but don't worry. It's nothing weird.
I'm just getting a ring.
Yeah, I'm going to get a ring off of my dead wife's finger because I have to use it for something. I can't tell you what. There's nothing good in what he's saying here. And then he says, and if you do get curious and disturb me in what I'm about, I will pull your limbs off.
But then here, live and be prosperous.
Yes, and he's like, but
farewell,
wait,
good fellow.
yeah, but wait, here's some money, and have a good life.
Or
Balthazar.
Balthazar's like, I think something's up.
That was a roller coaster.
Yeah, and so Balthazar says, for all this same, I'll hide me hereabout. His looks I fear, and his intents I doubt. Yeah, think. Yeah, he's not up to any good here.
I love this. Balthazar also steps out of sight.
Yes.
So he and Paris are hiding
In different places, apparently. And if
Plus
they're right
the
next to each
page.
other, that would be
And the
interesting.
page.
And they're all hiding in different places.
Yeah.
This is great. Thou detestable maw, thou womb of death, gorged with the dearest morsel of the earth. Thus I enforce thy rotten jaws to open, and in despite I'll cram thee with more food.
Isn't that fun figurative language? The opening of the tomb is being called a maw, and that is a mouth. And this is like, I'm going to put, right now, it has the dearest morsel of the earth. Juliet has been eaten by this maw of death. And she's a tasty, delicious morsel. And I'm going to cram you with more food, he says.
I'm going to go die.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing and really morbid.
Oh, this is that banished haughty Montague that murdered my love's cousin, with which grief it is supposed the fair creature died. And here is come to do some villainous shame to the dead bodies. I will apprehend him.
He's going to do a citizen's arrest.
He steps forward.
Stop thy unhallowed toil, vile Montague. Can vengeance be pursued further than death? Condemned villain, I do apprehend thee. Obey and go with me, for thou must die.
Okay, so in Paris's mind, he doesn't know Romeo. I mean, he's probably related to Mercutio, and it's one of Mercutio's friends, but he doesn't know him, but he does know of him and of the fact that he killed Tybalt. Why would the murderer of Tybalt be at Tybalt's tomb? Because it's not just Juliet's tomb, it's also Tybalt's tomb. What is he doing here? What more could he do? And Juliet died because of her grief? And okay, that's crazy. I mean, people don't just get sad and just go, that's not really what happened. But that's what they're thinking happened. Though, I mean, she was super sad and crying a lot, and next thing you know, she's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had examined the area, there's the vial.
And a dagger that she set out just in case.
They didn't. He left that out.
Or Lawrence did something.
Yeah, Friar Lawrence goes in there and is like, oh.
Snuck in.
Creeper. I don't know what that was. Guys, get out of here. Nothing. God's mad at you. All right, so continue.
Sure. Oh wait, can you give that line again? Because I think it's really important to connect those two, right?
Obey and go with me, for thou must die.
I must indeed. And therefore came I hither. Good, gentle youth, tempt not a desperate man. Fly hence and leave me. Think upon these gone. Let them affright thee. I beseech thee, youth. Put not another sin upon my head by urging me to fury. Oh, be gone. By heaven, I love thee better than myself, for I come hither armed against myself. Stay not, be gone, live, and hereafter say, a madman's mercy bade thee run away.
I do defy thy conjurations, and apprehend thee for a felon here.
Wilt thou provoke me? Then have at thee, boy.
Okay, so they're gonna fight.
Ting, ting, ting.
So Romeo really tried to avoid a fight here. He told him, like, look, I'm planning to die.
Yeah, I'm not a danger to anyone but myself.
You don't have to jump in here and put yourself in harm's way. I'm crazy right now, and I am ready to let you go with your life. Just don't do this. Don't do this, young man.
Yeah.
And this is interesting too. A lot of people misread Paris as being like an old dude that Capulet's hanging out with, that he's marrying his wife to. And if Romeo, we know is young, calls him a youth, calls him young, then we know that Paris may be even younger than Romeo. And just like a contemporary of Juliet and Romeo, not a 14-year-old, because that would be weird.
Right.
But probably not even 20 yet, or close to it.
Yeah.
So he's just making this decision based on what he's heard, that Romeo is a bad guy and needs to be caught. And he's just saying he's apprehending him. He doesn't say he's going to kill him.
Right.
Indeed. So we're fighting.
Fight. Oh Lord, they fight. I will go call the watch. That was Paris, not Paris's page, by the way.
Yeah, his page.
And he leaves.
And he leaves. Oh, I am slain.
Paris falls.
Yeah, one of my favorite Shakespearean lines. He literally tells you that he just died. Yeah.
I am killed.
Yes. And every time I've directed this play, this line has
Gotten a laugh?
Haunted me.
Yeah.
Ty Keck, if you're watching this, I am slain.
Bunk. So I am slain. Paris falls.
If thou be merciful, open the tomb, lay me with a Juliet.
Paris dies.
In faith, I will. Let me peruse this face.
You didn't even know who it was yet. Now he knows. He gets to look at him.
Mercutio's kinsman, noble county Paris. Oh, what said my man when my betossed soul did not attend him as we rode? I think he told me Paris should have married Juliet. Said he not so? Or did I dream it so? I'll bury thee in a triumphant grave. A grave? Oh no, a lantern slaughtered by youth, for here lies Juliet, and her beauty makes this vault of feasting presence full of light.
He lays Paris in the tomb.
So hang on a second. So he didn't even know who he was fighting. He was trying to warn off whoever it was that was trying to get him to just back off. And then when he realized it's Paris, we get this weird realization from him that when we were writing here and I was all like in this fog of grief and unhappiness, Balthazar was telling me about how Juliet was supposed to marry this Paris guy, and this is Paris. I recognize him. I've probably seen him around. That's weird, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because Balthazar doesn't know about their marriage either.
But he should, because they don't introduce anybody else as Romeo's man. There was Romeo's man that the nurse asked about. Is he
so Balthazar
safe to talk?
Potentially,
yeah. He probably knows the whole, a lot of it. He brought the rope ladder.
Oh, right.
Okay, so he at least has been an accomplice of sorts. So he knows something. He knows about the marriage. And then he probably would have found it very interesting that Juliet was supposed to marry somebody. Yeah. And maybe that's what they put together here, is that she killed herself because she was going to get caught. Yeah.
All right, laying Paris in the tomb. Oh, my love, my wife, death that hath sucked the honey of thy breath hath had no power yet upon thy beauty. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks, and death's pale flag is not advanced there.
Okay, pause, because the reason that she looks really good in death is
she's going to be waking up soon.
Yeah, she's not dead at all, and she's actually getting close to being awake. So he goes into the tomb and he just assumes she's dead because he was told that she was dead, but she looks kind of nice. And he's like, wow, you look good.
For being dead.
Yeah, you're still so beautiful. You're not even pale.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that must have been just weird to him, just to see that she'd retained such beauty in death, right? Okay.
Deceptive. Tybalt, liest thou there in thy bloody sheet? Oh, what more favor can I do to thee than with that hand that cut thy youth in twain to sunder his that was thine enemy? Forgive me, cousin.
So isn't that nice? He talks to the dead body of the guy that he killed, and he's like, "This is the best thing I could do for you. I'm paying back. I'm taking your murderer right out."
Yep. Oh, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair?
Because she's.
Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean, abhorred monster keeps thee here in dark to be his paramour? For fear of that, I still will stay with thee, and never from this palace of dim night depart again.
Okay, so he's saying that I think that death must have fallen in love with you and keeps you to be their love. And instead of I won't let that happen. I'm going to stay here with you and be with you forever. again, it's all in reaction to the fact that she still looks so good in what he presumes to be death. And he's heartbroken seeing her
Yeah.
right now. And there's a little bit of a cut here, but that's okay. Let's go right on to the next piece.
Eyes, look your last. Arms, take your last embrace. And lips, oh, youth adores of breath, seal with a righteous kiss a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Come, bitter conduct. Come, unsavory guide. Here's to my love.
He drinks the poison.
Oh, true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus, with a kiss, I die.
He kisses Juliet and falls dead. You know, and the timing of all this is really unfortunate. So it's almost time for Juliet to wake up, and the friar walks in basically right on the end of this. So Romeo comes in, he sees his wife, he gets right to it, and the apothecary is right. This takes no time. But he does take his time to admire her beauty and really let us know how deep and terrible his sadness is as he stops and gives her one last embrace and one last kiss as he dies. It's
Very,
tragic.
very sad.
It is the classic of tragedy right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enter
And now
friar.
this is going to be weird because now you are
Now I'm friar.
transforming into the friar.
Okay. Saint Francis be my speed. How oft tonight have my old feet stumbled at graves. Who's there?
Here's one, a friend, and one that knows you well.
Bliss be upon you. Tell me, good my friend, what torch is yond that vainly lends his light to grubs and eyeless skulls? As I discern, it burneth in the capel's monument.
Okay, so this has got to be disturbing for the friar because he gets to the graveyard and he sees that there's a torch coming from like the opening of the tomb. It's already open. He doesn't need the crowbar after all, and he can see that it's lit up in there. So,
What the what?
Yeah. It doth so, holy sir, and there's my master, one that you love,
Who is it?
Romeo.
How long hath he been there?
Full half an hour.
Go with me to the vault.
I dare not, sir. My master knows not but that I'm gone hence, and fearfully did menace me with death if I did stay to look on his intents.
Stay, then. I'll go alone. Fear comes upon me. Oh, much I fear some ill, unlucky thing.
I dreamt my master and another fought, and that my master slew him.
Romeo! Enters
Okay,
the
so
tomb.
that's all bad stuff right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, he knows he's late. Romeo said a half hour to be in there by himself, and he also got in a fight with somebody. Okay.
Romeo, oh pale. Who else? What? Paris too, and steeped in blood. Ah, what unkind hour is guilty of this lamentable chance?
Oh, and now Juliet wakes up.
The lady stirs.
Oh, comfortable friar, where is my lord? I do remember well where I should be, and there I am. Where is my Romeo?
Some sort of noise.
Yeah, there's
within.
noise coming. And that's because the page went running to get help. And now help is arriving.
I hear some noise. Lady, come from that nest of death, contagion, and unnatural sleep. A greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents. Come away. Thy husband in thy bosom here lies dead, and Paris too. Come, I'll dispose of thee among a sisterhood of holy nuns. Stay not to question, for the watch is coming. Come, go, good Juliet.
Okay.
Hear more
So
noise?
this is the explanation she gets when she wakes
Sorry.
up. She wakes up and she's like,
Again, I know I am.
Yeah. Oh, it happened. It worked. It's just exactly right. Now, where's Romeo?
Mhm.
And dang, the friar has to tell her that, first of all, he says, a greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents. And this greater power, of course, would be God, has not seen it right to make our plan work out. It hasn't worked out, and there's nothing we can do about it. And come away. There's your husband. He's dead, and he's right there in your lap, basically. And and there's Paris too. I need to get you out of here. And the plan that he has decided on is he's going to put her in with a sisterhood of holy nuns until that's the best he can come up with, is like, because she's alive, she's not dead, and people are coming in to discover this big secret, and if he could just get her out of there, maybe he could squirrel her away somewhere and nobody would know what went down.
Yeah. It's just bad. It's like bad
Yeah.
choice on bad choice on bad choice right
So they
now,
hear the
right?
noises of people approaching.
I dare no longer stay.
Go, get thee hence, for I will not away.
They hear the noises of approaching watchmen, and Friar Lawrence, he's out.
He leaves.
Mm-hmm.
What's here? A cup closed in my true love's hand? Poison, I see, hath been his timeless end. Oh, churl! Drunk all and left no friendly drop to help me after? I'll kiss thy lips. Haply some poison yet doth hang on them to make me die with a restorative.
Yeah. So she tries to poison herself with the poison that might be on his lips, but that doesn't actually work.
Thy lips are warm.
Oh, because he just died. He just now died.
Lead, boy. Which way?
Yea, noise? Then I'll be brief. Oh, happy dagger.
She takes the dagger out of Romeo's sheath on his belt,
This is thy sheath.
and she stabs herself.
There rust and let me die.
It's really hard to stab yourself.
Really hard.
I mean,
Not that
enough
I've
like
tried.
fatally. But it works for this particular thing. She was motivated, and she falls on Romeo's body, and they lie there
Traumatized,
dead
like in so many ways.
together. Yeah, it's a horrible, horrible way to go. All right, and now, just because timing is everything in this scene, everybody gets there.
Enter watch
it's
with the
me.
page.
Oh, right, with the page. Gotcha. This is the place there where the torch doth burn.
The ground is bloody. Search about the churchyard. Go, some of you, whoever you find, attach. Pitiful sight. Here lies the county slain, and Juliet bleeding warm and newly dead. Who here hath lain these 2 days buried? Go tell the prince. Run to the Capulets. Raise up the Montagues. Some others search.
And then some of the watch come in, and Balthazar's with them.
Here's Romeo's man. We found him in the churchyard.
Hold him in safety till the prince come hither.
And then some others re-enter from the watch with Friar Lawrence.
Get away. Here is a friar that trembles, sighs, and weeps. We took this mattock and this spade from him, as he was coming from this churchyard side.
Yeah, see.
A great suspicion. Stay the friar, too.
And then enter Prince Aeschylus and his attendants.
What misadventure is so early up that calls our person from our morning rest?
Enter Capulet, Lady Capulet, and others.
What should it be that they so shriek abroad?
The people of the street cry Romeo, some Juliet, and some Paris, and all run with open outcry toward our monument.
What fear is this which startles in our ears?
Sovereign, here lies the county Paris slain, and Romeo dead, and Juliet dead before, warm and new killed.
Search, seek, and know how this foul murder comes.
Here is a friar, and slaughtered Romeo's man, with instruments upon them, fit to open these dead men's tombs. Oh, it's me again, as Capulet. Oh, heavens! Oh, wife, look how our daughter bleeds. This dagger hath mistaken for, lo, his house is empty on the back of Montague, and it missheathed in my daughter's bosom.
Oh me, the sight of death is as a bell that warns my old age to sepulchre.
Enter Montague and others.
Come, Montague, for thou art early up to see thy son and heir more early down.
Alas, my liege, my wife is dead tonight. Grief of my son's exile hath stopped her breath. What further woe conspires against mine age?
Mm-hmm.
We should probably stop and talk about something.
Yeah, let's do that right there.
So we've got everybody's arriving, right? And the weirdest weird of it is that they're finding, so the watchmen are coming in. They're kind of like the CSI unit, right? Well, whatever, God. And they see that Juliet, who had been buried, who is dead, is now bleeding. Like, and you don't, if you've been dead for a while, you're not going to bleed. Your blood stops pumping, right? So this isn't right. She shouldn't be bleeding, and she's newly killed. So that's a freak out for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Especially for her parents. Her parents get there and they find her stabbed to death, and the body that she's laying with is Romeo Montague, and the dagger that
It's
she
his.
stabbed with is from his belt. And so doesn't it seem like he broke into the tomb to kill their dead daughter? That's really gruesome.
Really weird.
Yeah. And then Montague shows up and they're like, look here,
So sad.
there's your son who's dead, right? And at first Montague doesn't get that. He's like, what's going on? What more can we have happen tonight? My wife just died, and she died from grief because my son was exiled. Now,
It's a lot of death happening. Right
yeah,
now.
but see, Shakespeare tended to be very fair about things. And if you're going to have Romeo die, okay, that's a Montague. And you have Juliet who died, that's a Capulet. You had Tybalt who died, that's also a Capulet. And then you've also got over here, you've got Mercutio and Paris who died. 2 people from the Prince's family died.
You
2
need to
people
have
from the
one more
Capulets
for
died. You only
Montague.
have Romeo of the Montagues. You had to kill somebody else. And so poor Lady Montague didn't even have to come on stage to die. And she's
She
out.
had so few lines anyway.
Yeah, she died. She died of being underused.
Right. She just wasted away.
She withered.
The actress
She
playing
had
Lady
like
Montague
2 lines and now she's gone.
got lost in the alley and nobody even noticed.
Oh,
Like, oh, she's
It's so
died.
sad though. Like, I mean, if you think about like, what else? My wife just died of
Mhm,
grief.
mhm.
Like, what could
Yeah.
pop?
And so this is what he says. And okay, Prince has a line first, but
Oh, where? What?
to the top of the next page.
Oh,
57.
look, and thou shalt see.
So now he realizes what they're pointing out to him. Oh, thou untaught, what manners is in this to press before thy father to a grave? That's really tragic.
Mm,
No parent wants to witness the death of their child.
mm-mm.
And so that's what he's saying. He's like, what bad manners, my son, to die before me. No, and he's not really scolding his dead son.
No, of
He's
course
he's
not.
just commenting on the tragedy of it all.
Yeah.
Seal up the mouth of outrage for a while till we can clear these ambiguities. And now, and know their spring, their head, their true descent. Bring forth the parties of suspicion.
It's the friar. I am the greatest, able to do least, yet most suspected, as the time and place doth make against me of this direful murder. And here I stand, both to impeach and purge myself condemned, and myself excused.
Then say at once what thou dost know in this.
I will be brief. For my short date of breath is not so long as is a tedious tale. Romeo, there dead, was husband to that Juliet, and she, there dead, that Romeo's faithful wife. I married them, and their stolen marriage day was Tybalt's doomsday, whose untimely death banished the new-made bridegroom from the city, for whom, and not for Tybalt, Juliet pined. You, to remove that siege of grief from her, betrothed and would have married her perforce to County Paris. Then comes she to me, and with wild looks bid me devise some mean to rid her from this second marriage, or in my cell there would she kill herself. A sleeping potion, which so took effect as I intended, for it wrought on her the form of death. Meantime, I writ to Romeo that he should hither come as this dire night, but he which bore my letter, Friar John, was stayed by accident, and yesternight returned my letter back. Then, all alone at the prefixed hour of her waking, came I to her from her kindred's vault. She wakes, and I entreat her, come forth, and bear this work of heaven with patience. But then a noise did scare me from the tomb, and she, too desperate, would not go with me, but, as it seems, did violence on herself. All this I know, and to the marriage her nurse is privy, and if aught in this miscarried by my fault, let my old life be sacrificed some hour before his time unto the rigor of severest law.
So we could explain everything that's said there, but basically it's the whole play.
He fesses up.
He tells the whole story. He's like, this is, Romeo was married to Juliet. There's witnesses, and can ask the nurse about it. He tells what he had to do to, you guys were going to force her to marry Juliet because she was grieving for Tybalt, and so she was going to commit suicide, and I was kind of forced to give her this potion to try to get her out of it. And but the letter that I sent to Romeo to warn him of what was happening didn't make it, and so I came here to help her. But before I got here, this tragedy had already occurred, and she wouldn't leave with me, and I got scared. He even confesses that part. I got scared and left. And if you want to ask, the nurse knows, and if I was at fault, then I should suffer for it. He doesn't just confess;
unto the rigor of severest
He
law.
takes responsibility.
He feels responsible, and
That's fair.
I think he is.
I agree with you.
He was the adult in the room, and he made a choice. He thought that this would solve the feud, and he didn't communicate with anybody else about it, and he led these children into a kind of a sticky mess, and now they're dead.
As are others.
Okay.
We still have known thee for a holy man. Where's Romeo's man? What can he say in this?
Okay, so this is Balthazar. I brought my master news of Juliet's death, and then in post he came from Mantua to the same place, to the same monument. This letter he early bid me give his father, and threatened me with death going into the vault. I departed not and left him there.
Give me the letter. I will look on it. Where is the county's page that raised the watch? Sirrah, what made your master in this place?
He came with flowers to strew his lady's grave, and bid me stand aloof, and so I did. Anon comes one with light to ope the tomb, and by my master drew on him, and then I ran away to call the watch.
This letter doth make good the friar's words, their course of love, the tidings of her death. And here he writes that he did buy a poison of a poor apothecary, and therewithal came to this vault to die, and lie with Juliet. Where be these enemies? Capulet, Montague. See what a scourge is laid on your hate, that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love. And I, for winking at your discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen.
So this is super important.
punished.
Yeah, this is a super important line there. First of all, all the pieces are falling into place. Everything has been confirmed that the friar said, and all the pieces that the page and Balthazar could fill in. And so he's like, yep, the letter says that too, and talks about the poison, and that solves that. So the mystery is being solved, and he's finally like, Capulet, Montague, see what a scourge is laid upon your hate. See what has happened, the punishment because of your hatred. Yep. Heaven finds means to kill your joys with love. They fall in love, and it kills your joy as punishment to you.
It's pretty sad. And
he says, and I, for winking at your discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen. All are punished. He's saying that he should have
been harder.
He should have done something about them, long ago. And because he didn't, he was also punished, and he lost two people as well. So it does turn out to be fair in a sense that everybody loses somebody. Everybody loses two somebodies. And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the hateful fighting between the two factions. And the prince should have, he too takes responsibility.
This is, yeah.
Okay.
This
all right, Capulet.
This is lovely. Oh, brother Montague, give me thy hand. This is my daughter's jointure, for no more can I demand.
But I can give thee more, for I will raise her statue in pure gold, that while Verona by that name is known, there shall be no figure at such rate be set. And that of true, I'm going to say that again. That while Verona by that name is known, there shall no figure at such rate be set as that of true and faithful Juliet.
As rich shall Romeo's by his ladies lie, poor sacrifices of our enmity.
A gloomy peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. Go hence to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned, and some punished. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.
True. A glooming peace. So,
Right?
so
like nobody's fighting and nobody's celebrating.
yeah, nobody's happy, but they're no longer fighting. And the sun for sorrow will not show his head. I mean, it's even such an ugly day out, and it fits because it's such a sad day. And go hence to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned, and some punished. And I think we should think about that. I mean,
Who's going to be pardoned? Who's going to be punished?
yeah.
You know, it's interesting because the prince on the page before, he actually says to the friar after the friar's big long speech, he says, we still have known thee for a holy man.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying,
Yeah.
this might have been stupid.
Yeah, you did a bad thing.
And people died because of it.
But your intentions were...
Right, and you have... But
I mean, his intentions were to try to solve...
They weren't to... It wasn't to kill the kids.
It was,
no,
right. It was just maybe...
to hurt anybody.
Maybe stupid.
Who else should be punished?
The nurse, maybe. Right?
She too knew, and it did not stop it. I mean, she did sort of try at times to dissuade her, but
that's true. I feel like their parents probably have been pretty punished anyway by the situation.
Yeah, they lost their firstborn only children.
They might be pardoned.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I have a harder time with sort of servants being punished, because in that time it was they didn't have much choice. They had no
so
livelihood.
If the nurse's boss, who was at this point Juliet, I mean, sure,
she could have
Juliet's
gone
parents.
to her parents.
Mm-hmm.
She could have gone, hey, your daughter is gonna run off with this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she's got the hots for your enemy.
I guess that's true. She could have gone to the
She
parents. What about Balthazar? If he did in fact also know, then maybe he could have gone to Lord and Lady Montague.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he might have given a little more time.
Yeah,
he was
a lot more concerned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, aside from, for me, my perspective, the friar really holds the bulk of the blame.
I think so.
And so he's the one that I think justice needs to be served.
Yeah.
Right? And I think he knows it too, which is why he says it.
Mm-hmm.
Shakespeare has him say it outright.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Do you have any others that you think deserve some sort of...
Well, obviously, the parents, and there's some dead people who are to blame.
Yes, indeed.
I would say that Romeo and Juliet get the biggest part of the blame. And I would say that, I mean, it seems unfair, it seems sad, because there were young people who were desperately in love, and they just didn't know how to react in any other way. Mm-hmm. But the reality is it was a selfish act. Mm-hmm. Suicide tends to be a selfish act. They weren't getting what they wanted. And sometimes you have to be brave enough to be unhappy. And they weren't brave enough to be unhappy. If they had been, they would have faced their fears straight on. They would have said, Mom, Dad, this is the person that I love.
Yeah, we're in love.
I know that you're not going to let me marry them, but you needed to know it. And then live with the unhappiness of it, rather than create the situation in which you can no longer live.
See, that's hard, though, because both of them are in a stage where they don't know how to handle those strong feelings, and then suddenly their world gets flipped upside down in so many different ways, and so they never got to the point where they could process like living unhappily. Like so many bad things just happened to them. Not that they should have done any of what they did.
I feel it's a cop out. I mean, I have sympathy for folks who can no longer deal with life. I think depression's real, but these kids, this isn't even a week of action.
Yeah,
they let themselves go down that path so fast, and they didn't think about any ways.
It was a bit fanatical.
Turn that train around. I mean, they were like, it was a runaway train. There was only one way this was going to end. And all of that, like, if you're going too fast, bad things are going to happen. All of that,
just
that was being
over
warned to
again.
them over and over again.
Yeah.
And Romeo was said to him outright. And they didn't listen. They didn't even stop to think.
But Friar Lawrence didn't listen when he gave that exact advice.
Yeah, no, Friar Lawrence is definitely in the mix there. And the parents for being the whole reason this all got started. And if you want to go with more of what probably Shakespeare thought, the parents were 100% in charge of the blame, because this happened to them because of their actions.
Yeah, agreed.
And it was fate that the kids would follow through with it, because they needed to be punished for what they brought.
That's how the whole play starts. Is the only way.
It was the only way it would stop.
The only way that you two households are going to stop bickering is if these two kids have to die.
And then now they don't have heirs. So in my fantasy ending of the story, Benvolio is the only heir of the Montagues.
Ooh.
And the Capulets feel so bad.
They
just give everything to Benvolio, and he benefits. Get it? He benefits.
Okay. I like.
And he marries Rosaline, because she was just waiting.
Oh my gosh.
She was just waiting for a guy who was like,
a good guy,
reliable.
Right.
Oh my gosh, we need to write that.
the story of Rosaline and Benvolio.
Yeah,
one of my former students wrote a story about how the friar gave up being a monk because he felt he was unworthy.
Oh.
And the nurse had to leave her place at the Capulet.
And she's a widow anyway.
Together.
Interesting. Well, she does like being learned.
Lawrence and
Angelica, Angel.
Yeah,
that's legit. But I definitely like this after the tomb. What happens beyond the tomb? Yeah. Some fun stuff to think about. Well, let's do really quickly. I mean, we've got some
words.
So what are some words?
Kind of going backwards. So jointure. This is my daughter's jointure. For no more can I demand.
Where's my dictionary here? Jointure in this regard, I believe that sounds like a legal term. I don't know.
Well, legally they were married.
They were. So it was like their
jointure, meaning the connection between their families, is maintained.
And this is my daughter's jointure. So
it's law. A provision for a wife after the death of her husband.
Oh, so all he has is a handshake.
All I can give to you. So basically, it's what a woman would have gotten when her husband died.
Right.
Yeah.
And scourge.
So scourge in that regard is like a blight. Yeah, like a punishment.
Punishment. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going backwards here. Oh, at the top of 57, when Montague says, "Oh, thou untaught, what manners is in this?"
I was just calling his dead son rude.
Untaught being like a unschooled boy,
unwise, like
unwise,
you're naive.
Okay. You know, what do you think you're doing, dying before me?
Okay.
It's a really weird way to put it.
What about till we can clear these ambiguities?
Things that are unclear. So till we can clear these things that are unclear.
I love it. Anything that's foggy? Got it.
Yeah, something that's ambiguous is just kind of hard to pin down.
Oh, and this is interesting. I love this sort of wordplay here. And know their spring, their head, their true descent. And
those are water terms.
References.
Like that's where the spring comes from. The head of the stream, or the rivers, the
and where it is going.
Follow the clues.
Yeah, follow everything from where it started to where it went.
I love that. So in the Watchmen scenario, they talk about staying people, stay the friar too, and they use it several times. I'm guessing that means like hold them.
Yeah, because stay means wait, but also keep them there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sepulcher?
No, I was going to look that up for what it might mean here, because this one always kind of rings a little weird for her. But
so, oh me, the sight of death is
it's a monument, but it's a monument that is usually as like associated with a dead person. So, for instance, let's see if I can find something about it. It's like it's where a dead person is laid or buried. It's like the sepulcher. You know, like when you see the ones that they do the rubbings of and things like that, like the laying on top of it.
Maybe a knight with a
that
sword.
Would be a sepulcher, but it's like it's part of a burial.
So she's just saying that this is the sight of this just warns me That's where I'm
Yeah, and
heading.
she sees herself as dying.
Yeah.
She thinks she's gonna die from this. And I remember when she saw Juliet dead, she was like, she
Done.
yeah, she was feeling that she probably will be the next to go at her young age of 28.
Oh, jeepers.
Yeah.
So up here, the third watchman, he says, we took this mattock and this spade from with mattock.
Mattocks are like a hammery thing, like a big hammer.
Like a mallet?
Yeah.
Or a bit bigger?
Is that
maybe?
the Iron Crow? But
No,
that
the
would be
Iron
a
Crow, no,
crowbar.
it's like a crowbar.
So
Yeah, there's just, I don't, he has spade
More
too.
tools?
He had like his whole garage full of tools.
why
with
does he?
him.
Why did he have a
He
spade?
doesn't know how to open a tomb. He's a friar. He's brought a bunch of tools.
Just brought his gardening tools.
He's like, I don't know, will this work?
Yeah, his little gardening tools. That little
His trowel.
teeny tiny little, yeah, trowel.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
So
That's why he didn't plan to be there in the first place, because he just
it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
didn't know how.
So I have when Juliet says, I will kiss thy lips happily. Happily means hopefully, right?
Luckily.
Oh,
Or
if I'm
If she's
lucky,
lucky,
right? If I'm
yeah.
lucky, some poison yet doth hang on them.
Mhm.
To make me die with a restorative.
Restorative.
Which seems like a counterintuitive
Yes,
word.
yes, because a restorative would be like that cordial idea, drinking
Yeah.
something like a tonic that makes
Yeah.
you feel better. So she wants the tonic of a poison because she'll feel better if she can join him in death.
Right.
Yeah.
And wow, this is such a huge one, but I think I might, oh wait, no, I apologize. I do have, we did talk, did we? No, this is that banished haughty Montague.
Haughty.
That murdered my love's cousin.
Mhm.
So this is Paris talking about Romeo.
Yes.
And he just sees him. He's like talking about, so haughty.
Oh, he says he's a hottie because he's hot.
No, it's
Oh.
Haughty.
The other kind of haughty.
like
Arrogant.
Arrogant.
Stuck up.
yeah.
Arrogant, stuck up Montague guy.
Yes.
Killed Tybalt and made my wife die.
I know, right? Oh, what's the
Obsequies?
obsequies.
Yeah, obsequies. Let me give you a.
It said 2 times in there, right?
Yeah,
It's like
I said it
like
too many times.
tributes.
One time
Right.
is too many.
Right, because he's saying the obsequies that I for thee will keep nightly.
Because something is obsequious,
So-
you've heard that word, right?
Yeah.
I've heard obsequious. I couldn't use
But
it properly.
that means to be obedient. If you're
Oh.
So he's obeying
So these are like unspoken.
obligations.
Yeah.
Obligations.
Ooh.
It's
He's-
actually literally funeral rites, but yeah, I would say
Feels
they'd be like
obligated
Yeah.
to
your
do
obligations
this.
to the dead.
I love that. So now we get to move on to our
The readers, the plot, well, the characters and plot, yeah.
do you have yours? Oh no, I have mine. That's
Okay,
okay.
so there's a lot of characters that we have to talk about for this one. And there, so let's just go top to bottom.
Let's do it.
Even though some will be more important than others. Okay, and there's a little extra on this if you haven't noticed, so we're going to take a look at that as well. All right, so it
Paris.
starts out with Paris. Now, Paris, first of all, I feel like Paris, he's legit because a lot of people discount him and say that he doesn't even know her, and that's kind of
But Romeo didn't either.
right. So if you're going to give Romeo the benefit of the doubt that he fell in love at first sight, what if Paris walked in the room and was like, "Whoa, she
And
teaches
also
the candles to burn
He has
bright."
been friends with, we know, Capulet,
Mhm.
and so he probably has known of her
Yes,
way more
Yeah.
than Romeo
and
did.
he's been scoping her out because he's been asking about her for a while, and so he did kind of fall for her. And no, I mean, back then they didn't date like people do now. They didn't hang out. They just went, beautiful
Mhm.
girl, right connections. This would be a great wife. I've got my heart set on this.
Yeah.
And then a terrible thing happened. The day that he went to go get her to marry her,
Eesh.
she was dead, and he
Very
was
sad.
completely traumatized. And he tries to apprehend the dude that he thinks is somewhat responsible for her
Mhm.
death,
Yeah.
and he ends up being killed. It's just awful.
Yeah, it is. There's no need
He
for
didn't
them.
deserve it.
No, he didn't.
All right. So how about the page, Paris's page? Yeah, I mean, I admire
He
the
did
guy
his
for
job.
sticking around and running for the
Mhm.
watch and telling the truth. And
Mhm.
Yeah, he did his
doing
job for sure.
good.
Like,
Yeah,
and,
he didn't-
as a good guy.
He didn't jump in and save anybody, but
His page.
pages are usually young.
And probably
true.
not with a sword.
No.
I mean, he wouldn't
Yeah.
have a sword on
It
him
was
to
a
jump in.
graveyard. Not very fun.
scary.
Right. Seriously.
Yeah.
Romeo comes along, and clearly his whole thing through this is, and he completes it.
He's just out of his mind.
He's out of his mind, and he's gonna go and die with her.
He's always tended towards sad, and everything that we've seen him in this whole story, he's either super happy because he's in love or super sad because it's not working out.
There's no gray area.
Yeah, and so he's lost this one girl that loved him, and he loved her, and this is the end for him. He can't pull it together.
Yep.
He doesn't see another way.
Nope.
He didn't see a way out of Rosaline until he saw Juliet.
Yeah, but there's no Benvolio there saying, "Oh, I know she's dead, but if you just examine
Just
other
come to the party. Let's just go to a party.
Let's go to another party."
Which is interesting because I kind of was berating Paris when Paris was like, "Oh, she's sad. So she just needs to like hang out with people, socialize. Let's do some fun stuff." It's totally what Benvolio was like. How funny. It's so funny. Okay. Balthazar, which is Romeo's dude.
Yeah, okay. And Balthazar, this whole act has been tough for Balthazar. So this one, he rides with him, and we know that he tells him about like what's going on, but Romeo's not really listening to him. Right. And then he gets there, and Romeo's been acting weird this whole time, and he knows something's up, but he's not, like, he's a servant. He's not supposed to tell Romeo what to do. Right. And then Romeo is all giving him these cryptic answers about what
threatening
he's about
his
to
life,
do.
and then getting fondly saying goodbye.
Yeah, and saying, "Prosper, have a good life.
Take this.
Here's some money. Don't worry. Happening? Don't deliver the letter till morning. This isn't weird." Yeah, he was given a lot to
a lot of clues.
So, but he does his job too. But he also is brave enough to stay.
I agree.
He didn't do anything to solve the problem. But again, Balthazar is probably young.
Could he have done?
Yeah. He's probably even
younger than
Romeo, and not really able to jump in and tell him what to do, but concerned enough to stick around.
Yeah. Agreed.
But he didn't go in with the friar. And if he had gone in with the friar, maybe that would have saved Juliet, to have one more person in there to be with her that wouldn't have just left her.
Right, because maybe Balthazar wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have as much.
At the very least, he might have stayed with his friend /
right,
master.
He could have been,
maybe. He was scared.
Because
his master told him not to.
Right.
And he didn't know his master was dead.
Yeah, but he had some
weird feelings about it. True.
Yeah. Okay. How about
Friar?
The friar. I think we come down on the idea that
but he's coming. He's coming to be there when she wakes up.
He tries. He brings all the tools.
But then he freaking runs.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. He's guilty. He should have just stood there and
he got caught anyway.
He should have taken all the weapons out of her reach.
Yes,
because he knew she was going to kill herself. He had to know.
Well, he could. No, he'd stopped to think about it.
Yeah,
if he had stopped for a
second, because she'd already threatened.
So he didn't had Balthazar.
Where was he even going when he ran?
To a cell.
I don't think he was thinking. No, he was not thinking rationally.
No, he wasn't thinking rationally.
He panicked.
Just panicked
to leave the scene. He didn't actually.
It is not an attractive thing. He did something really stupid.
But he does come.
He comes back and he confesses 100%.
Right.
And he tells the whole story.
Would he have if he'd gotten away though?
Oh.
Would he have come clean?
Where was he going? I'm telling you, was he heading to Germany? Where was he headed?
I mean,
good point. We don't know.
Because if he was really,
but could he have escaped it if Romeo's letter explained his relationship with Juliet? Would they not have gone? Oh well, they were close with Friar Lawrence, so.
He would
ask him some questions.
They would have,
and at that point, he probably broke it.
He doesn't know. He needed to tell the whole story. Yeah.
So Juliet, clearly, when she wakes up,
a bad day for Juliet.
And it starts off like, oh my gosh, she was super stoked. Yes. What the what?
And he's dead.
Yes. And then Friar's like, let's go, and she's like, no, I'm dying. I'm gonna kill myself. Of course, duh.
Yeah.
There was really no other choice for her.
And the two suicides are quite different. There's the boy who buys poison to kill himself and rides for hours, half a day maybe a whole day. I don't know how far they are. Rides a horse for a long time thinking about what he was going to do. And then goes to her tomb, sees her and cries over her basically, holds her, kisses her, and then takes the poison so they would act very quickly. And then you have the girl who wakes up to the worst tragedy of all the tragedies. Her dead husband, the boy that she loves, right there in her lap. and she has to quickly decide: am I going to let people find me here and try to save my life,
Yeah.
or am I going to take it quickly?
And again, that we've talked about that before, that like the only thing she had control over was, well, living or dying.
Yeah, whether she lived or died.
Mhm.
And she didn't want to do what others asked of her.
And it was such a familiar path she had already drawn for herself multiple times.
Yeah.
That it was like, and scene, done.
Yeah, she already figured out.
She was
how would do
committed.
it. Mhm.
Yeah.
She.
I bet she'd thought about it too, because right, exactly.
Well, because she had it when
At
she
the
went
Friar.
to Friar Lawrence's.
Uh-huh.
She put it on her, next to her bed.
That's right.
Mhm.
She had already pictured it. She'd already planned it.
I can see her like touching her ribs, being like,
Finding the best place.
okay, it's got to be here. Okay, just so I know.
She thought
It's
it out.
terrible.
Mhm.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
The chief watchman, he handled it.
He actually
He sounded
handles
pretty
his job.
knowledgeable.
Yeah, he was like, and also
He delegated
calm.
really well.
And the other watchman, the second and third. I mean, if we look back,
They
one
do
of
their
them,
jobs.
one of them gets the page, and one of them gets the friar.
Yeah.
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 And Balthazar.
Prince.
Oh, the prince.
This is a rough one. He's like, what's going on? And then it's all
He deserves,
different.
I think, some of that guilt. I really think so.
I do too, and he knows it.
He sort of let
He
this feud go on
claims it.
so long that
And he's the leader, and leaders
Yeah.
ultimately have to take responsibility for tragedies.
yes,
If they had any part in the setup or the lack of prevention, they need
which
to
he clearly
yeah
does,
he does.
because 5 days before he's like, "This time I mean it. This time."
Yeah. Did he kill Montague and Capulet when Tybalt?
No,
he didn't.
He did not.
Should he have? I mean, I think that's pretty harsh.
And it's harsh, but he didn't follow through on that, which
Mm-mm.
leads us to believe he probably didn't follow through on threats before.
Right.
So he was a little too easy on the whole thing.
And he knows it.
there you go.
And for that, he lost 2 cousins.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Capulet. Whew.
Well, okay.
Mhm.
Yesterday was already bad for him. But
Yeah.
now-
How does that feel? Your daughter's already
She
dead, but you
wasn't-
come and she's dead again.
yeah,
And
you
wasn't.
No, I mean, there's so many layers of awful.
Yes.
To know that you were fooled.
Yes.
I'd be mad at the friar.
Yes.
I'd be mad at. I mean, but he can't afford to be mad right now, because his anger and hatred is what led
the whole
to all of this. So he's.
It does. Don't you get the feeling at the end here? Because I mean, if we're talking about Capulet, it's safe to talk about Montague, where both of them are just like, they've lost. Like, you have to hit rock bottom sometimes to see, and they can do no more fighting. Like, they're just.
They will fight no more forever.
They're old men who have lost all their joy.
And they had the opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And because they didn't actually, and both of them had a similar fault. You have that scene at the beginning where Montague was talking about how they've tried to figure out what's wrong with Romeo, but he's just not talking. They had no line of communication with that boy. They couldn't get him to communicate. And then you've got Capulet, a daughter who begged on her knees for him to just listen to her,
And he didn't.
and he refused. And he told her he would disown her if she didn't do what he said. So they didn't have. Maybe the Montagues had tried. Maybe they tried,
Right.
and Romeo locked them out, literally.
Yeah.
But the Capulets didn't know their daughter or listen to her when she had something to say.
Didn't give her choices either.
No.
She wasn't allowed to say no.
No. So I think Lord
Oof.
Capulet deserves some blame in that department.
Sure.
But he was just a man of his time too. They didn't let girls decide their fate.
And I think he did genuinely love her. But again, man of his time, like, you don't say no to me.
Did you say you're not going to marry the
It's
guy who chose for
ridiculous.
you?
You're acting like a
That's stupid.
freaking brat.
Mhm.
So that's really interesting. But he did. I mean, clearly he loved her, and there's that. And then same Lady Capulet, like, the day before, her reaction to finding Juliet was so seemingly profound for her. And then
this
now
one just like a step
it's like
further,
seals
and I
it.
was like,
Yeah.
and I'm going to die.
and this is it. I'm on the
This
way.
is it for me. Yeah. Deeply tragic. Most famous tragedy of all time.
Indeed. As a matter
I mean, there's some Greek tragedies I think that are up there. Antigone.
There's some good ones.
But this one is a 400-year-old masterpiece taught to kids all around the world. And Is it realistic? Sometimes. Is it a little bit dramatic?
Sure.
Well, yeah. But it does make us think about what we could do to keep bad stuff from happening. And anger and hatred just eat things up, just like the plants that the friar was talking about. Things that are bad traits in people can overtake and destroy what could have been good. And these are two kids who could have been very happy together if they'd had the support of their families. They made mistakes too. They did not even seek the support of their families.
Yeah.
But the adults in their world that could have guided them to better decision making also didn't help them. So the nurse is to blame. The friar is to blame. The parents are to blame. The prince is to blame. I'm going to just tell you right now, Paris is not to blame. Friar John is not to blame. Balthazar is not to blame. It's not the people who had bad information. They were on the outside. They didn't have any power.
Choices.
It's the people who actually made the choices that have the opportunity.
That's so real life.
It's all about the choices that you make. And this didn't have to be a tragedy. But if it wasn't, it wouldn't be this famous.
Totally true.
Yeah.
I'm making my picture.
You got your picture?
Oh, did you want to talk about these?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we just did this.
There's more.
Oh yeah, those little
The
extra
things
bits.
to remember and discuss section and the response section. Didn't have to end this way. Could the tragedy have been prevented? We just talked a lot about that stuff.
Response to the end of the play. Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job
Yeah.
covering that.
What do you think it'd be important to know about this scene when you take a test?
Ooh, I'll tell
Write
you,
down
the
3
final
things.
line by the prince is on the test.
Hugely important and really famous
So if
line
we
anyway.
end up back in the classroom and get to take a test, that last line about the glooming piece might be one that somebody might want to interpret.
Wink, wink. Oh wait, did I do that right?
Wait,
Yeah, I'm
This is
terrible
like-
at winking.
That is some literal eye shadowing.
Or foreshadowing, unless you're using your eyebrows.
Yeah, don't make that mistake on the test.
Eye shadowing?
Foreshadowing.
Can you imagine
is
now
correct.
people are going to say eyeshadowing?
I hope so.
Okay, well that concludes our reading and discussion.
And here is, oh, you can see it clearly
Can you
from
see it?
here.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that sad? I know it's maybe back from the video, like, whatever, I don't know.
yeah.
It's like legit. Okay.
So thank you for joining us, and I hope
Yeah.
you've enjoyed it.
If you have any questions, email Fiona.
And she'll forward
she'll
it.
forward
to
it.
me. Somebody has to hit the button.
Not it.
Oh gosh.